How to change front brakes on your car. After you take your tires off, first thing you want to do is feel your rotor. As long as it feels smooth, you can keep it. But if it starts to feel rough, you feel ridges in it, then you either got to get it turned and shaved or replace the whole rotor. This one still feel pretty smooth, so we're going to keep it. In order to get the brake pads off, and there are two bolts. You have a bolt here, and you have a bolt here. Alright, once you're taking them two bolts off, pull your caliper out. These are your brake pads right here that will be need to replace. When you first start hearing some kind of squealing sound, screeching sound, if you catch it quick enough, you can just take these pads out, push this back, take you some pliers, something, and squeeze it back together. Take these pads out and put the new ones in, and you back driving. But sometimes it's not that simple. You may have to replace this whole caliper. If you're going to have to replace your caliper, if you've taken it off, put it back on, put these two bolts back in to hold it. Then you'll be able to break this bolt right here, because this is your brake line. You're going to have to screw that off of your caliper to get it off. Right? Screw this bolt from your brake line. But this is a banjo fit. And what I do, once you take that bolt out, take your toothpick, break the end off of it a little bit, and then just stick it up in there to plug the hole up to slow your leak down until you can put everything back together. After you've plugged it off, it's a good idea just to tie it up somewhere, get it out of the way. Go back, take them two screws back out, and your caliper is ready to come off. When I told you to check the front side to see if it was smooth, also run your hand along the back side as well, see if that's smooth. Before you get ready to put everything back together, if you have too much brake dust or grease or oil, just get you some parts brake cleaner and spray it on there. It'll clean it off and it'll dry fast. Alright, when you start to put your brake pads back into your calipers, you have these clips. You got to set them in place. After you set your clips in place, then you take your brake pads, set them in place. Set in the groove. Caliper go back on your rotor. This tab with this brake pad will be at the bottom. After you set your brake pads in place, now put the caliper back on the rotor. Line these holes back up, top and bottom, put them bolts back in there. Got your caliper in place, put them two bolts in there, tighten them up. Once you tighten them two bolts on your caliper, untie your brake line. Next, pull the toothpick out that we put in the brake line. Take this bolt out. See, it has two washers on it. Right, this bolt has two washers on it, so we'll make sure one washer is in front of the banjo fit and one washer is behind it. Alright, you see how this caliper is facing? There is a left and a right side, so make sure you look at what you're doing before you put it on now. See how this notch is sticking up for this brake line to lay inside of it. Now, tighten your brake line bolt up. Now that this brake line bolt is good and tight, now it's time to bleed the brake lines. When you get ready to bleed the brake lines, you want to pop the hood and check your brake fluid container. I don't know if you can see it. It's almost empty, but it still has some in there. That's why I put a toothpick in now to stop it from leaking too bad, so it wouldn't be completely empty. Next, top off your brake fluid. After you're topped off Your brake fluid, this right here is your bleeder screw. So get you a wrench and put on here. What you're going to have to do is open this screw up. When you're bleeding brake lines, what you're doing is trying to get all the air out of it. Your brake pedal will build up strong and get tight. One way that people bleed brake lines is they need two people. One be inside the car pushing on the brake pedal while the other one's up on the hill opening up this bleeder screw. But I'm not going to do that. They have tools the way you do it yourself. So what you do, you take one end and put it on here. And so you have this right here, you squeeze it, that's what pulls the fluid out. So you crack your bleeder line and then squeeze until fluid come out. Tighten your line up. And check your fluid up on your hood. This is what your finished product should look like after you've put a new caliper and new brake pads on.